Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 5 of 18 for the GPVWC Supercup. My name is James Kirk, and tonight I shall be deputising for a poorly Nick Rowland. But as ever, I have alongside me the very safe pair of hands, that is Philip Cullen. How are you tonight, sir?
Not too bad, James. Got, like yourself, got a bit of a late call about doing this tonight, so I'm just barely in the seat, ready to go, playing catch-up here and catching some of the notes, and looks like a lot of the drivers have been caught out by a sudden downpour of rain that hasn't been on the track at all this week.
Indeed, well, this rain was heavily affected the practice session, actually, and a lot of people were rather hoping it wasn't going to be the case in qualifying. Well, it certainly is the case. Currently, your man on provisional pole position is Oscar Hardwick for CSG Racing. Done a 127.1 from Giuseppe Ranieri, actually, who's in P2 with the 127.2. And to be fair, with the rain as it is now, I don't really see these times falling down anytime soon in the next 5 minutes or so. And we'll discuss this after qualifying is finished. But there are quite a few penalties that have been handed out following the events in Hungary to shake up the order even more so following, well, goodness me, a very wet qualifying as it is already.
Indeed, and obviously, even though the weather is raining out there, it's still just about dry enough due to the hot weather conditions that the lads are able to go around on slick tyres. So I don't think we're talking about rain, and these guys are out here going around on slick tyres. Tyre compound wise, we're not seeing too much variation so far. I've seen some of the Target Racing guys actually going around with the primes on, but the majority of the rest of them seem to be all going with the faster red stripe tyres so far, as we've had about 23 of the 26 cars so far to take the track. We also have a number of driver changes I've been noting down here, but we can get to them after we get to the end of qualifying. Just under 5 minutes left, as we can see them battling around, trying to find any bit of grip out here to try and find a fast time. Obviously, with the weather, we're seeing we're still a rather close grid. We have, what is it, the top 6, is it now, within a second of each other? So there's still plenty of chances for people to get out there, maybe for one final run, and to just try and gain some grid spots before the race in a few minutes' time.
It's interesting that you talk about Target possibly going for a different strategy in terms of tyres, because currently Target and CSG is really streaking ahead with the constructors. CSG currently on 126, Target 2 points behind on 124 following Lapala's victory in Hungary 2 weeks ago. The only two constructors so far to win a race, and currently about 60 points ahead of Motorforce in third. So definitely it's going to be those two teams that are going to have everything to play for and possibly everything to lose. We're not quite sure how we're going to go into the race in terms of weather, but I've seen where they're catching out a lot of the drivers, and whereas in some parts of this circuit you can go absolutely flat out, in the wet weather, completely not the case. And well, I'm imagining quite a high attrition rate actually if this wet weather does continue into the 42 laps of racing that we have for you this evening.
And just to cut in there, Ryan Walker has just put it onto pole position. His last lap there was a 127.0 after taking pole by 0.088 of a second. Just as the weather seems to be kind of hovering in there, seems to be getting a little bit worse, a little bit better all the time. It seems to be varying as they go along. So we are expecting pretty much changes throughout, right up into the final minute now. But Ryan Walker continues to rich vein of form that he's carried into this season so far, and it'd be a bit of a surprise for him to take pole position. With his form, you know, it would be fully deserved if he manages to hold on to this one.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a blip in Hungary. You know, he was still there or thereabouts, but not really up with the front runners like we have seen him. But we've seen a different driver in Ryan Walker this season in Super Cup, and pretty much carrying the satellite team. But nevertheless, he is pretty much still de facto leader of the championship in terms of drivers. I mean, David Shepherd, of course, has moved on to bigger things in Super League. James Shepherd, apologies, so close. But anyway, James Shepherd, 70 points. Brian Walker is 7 points behind, and you know that means that he's de facto leader. Got to watch out for Vila Lapala, though. I'm trying to see where is
he's
Lapala?
Not actually here tonight. Actually, with the one of the driver changes I was going to go through there is that Brad Wright is deputising for him tonight in Target Racing. So I haven't had an opportunity to see what Lapala is actually out with. Maybe someone will be able to let us know during the broadcast is we've getting a few changes. Roy Schreut in the second CSG is just after popping up into 4th position there, and Lognoski, who was on the podium there in Hungary, is up into 5th. So everyone in this last 2 minutes is really getting out there.
Looking really good for CSG Racing, actually. Currently P2 and P4. Yeah, Lapala not being here tonight, that will hurt his chances. The guy behind him in the the drivers, is his teammate Sindre Grimseth, is here tonight, currently in 11th, and Brad Wright, who's the deputy, is out-qualifying him by 5 positions. So, really impressive stuff from Brad Wright. I think I was having a look at him in Formula Challenge.
Qualifying right now. He actually, I didn't notice he crashed the car about 4 or 5 minutes ago there. So we have a rule here that obviously, if you escape on track and not inside the pit lane boundaries, you cannot go back out on track. So there's no spare car. So his qualifying was over. He could have risked coming back out, but he would have had to serve a penalty for the following race. So he's going to have to be starting well mired down the field.
Oh, not too good for Grimseth then, but a chance for Brad Wright to impress. We certainly saw that he had the speed yesterday in Formula Challenge. Looking to put in the good laps here today, currently P6 behind Pavel Loknovsky, Roy Schroten, Giuseppe Rainieri, who is a man with a penalty, Oscar Hardwick and Ryan Walker. We've got about 30 seconds of the session left. Ryan Walker currently in the garage now. I think that's his qualifying over. Oscar Hardwick, though, has just started a brand new qualifying lap. Let's see what he does as he starts around turn 3 now. A lot of drivers saying, is it all going a bit wide there? That's one of the things which people were worried about. Can you go full speed through there? Not as it looks. And Oscar Hardwick really trying to ring this car around this very, very wet circuit. He's less than a 10th off Walker. But in these conditions, it's going to be very tricky to get the time back. Qualifying is now over. All the drivers who are on this lap, this will be their last. Oscar Hardwick fighting his best for pole position. Currently 5th in the drivers as Brad Wright goes up into 3rd position. Outstanding effort from the deputy. Really, really good stuff. I was thinking possibly along the same lines as you. If Grimseth was still in this qualifying, surely he'd be out qualifying him. I'm starting to doubt that. Brad Wright really putting in good speed here.
Indeed, it's a fantastic bit, and obviously being thrown into the deep end here today, and with the conditions of this first Supercup race, it's a fantastic one to be less than a 10th. As Roy Schreiten has just hit pole position, 2/10 quicker. It's getting a bit drier out there, and he's after taking advantage. Let's see Oscar Hardwick out of the last corner. Can he join his teammate on the front row? Seconds to the line.
He crosses the line. Oh, blimey! 0.6 of a second, knocking his teammate right out the park, and well, CSG again. Yes, she's going to be very, very happy. And look at Pavel Loknovsky there. He's found his way into 3rd position as well. So, had a bit of a slow start to the season, did Pavel. Had a bit of a choppy season last year in Super League. Come back to Super Cup to try and improve his driving, to try and find the form which he did have earlier, earlier in Super Cup. He seems to be finding his stride again. P3 for the Innovision man. Ryan Walker 4th, and so Brad Wright, after what looked like a fantastic time to get up into the top 3, is now down into P5. So great little bit of qualifying there. Sindre Grimseth, 13th overall. So not too bad considering his car crashed and he escaped. And of course we've got penalties still to come.
Yeah, so we'll probably hold out. We'll do a quick run. I'll do a quick run through the grid there now, but obviously we'll have to see how the penalties shake things out. But it's a CSG 1-2, and in the words of the cameraman and the CSG owner, he was liking that, and Dave Carr-Smith. It's obviously it's what CSG were probably expected to do from the start of the season. Roy's had another driver who has not found the form I suppose everybody was expecting from. The way he finished late last year, and he's taken his time to find his feet with things, but it's great to see, obviously probably aided by the fact they were all on track at the right time when the weather was going worse, or sorry, even getting better. Obviously we've Hardwick and Schoten, the front row, with Lognoski and Walker, Wright and Rainieri. Then we've Mark Wicks in 7th, who hasn't always had the best of form so far in the Supercup since dropping down. Now, I do know he's back up in Super League helping out Woods, but he'll be delighted with that. And Patrick Gatewood is in 7th right now for Malta Force. Scott Bennett, very good qualifying in 8th, and Georgios Davicos in 9th. Very good qualifying for the Greek driver for Centurion. Rounding out the top 10 at the moment is Dale Stones. Looking beyond the top 10, Vindop Moodley is in 11th with Sindra Girnsey, who we spoke about, is in currently 12th. I believe someone might have dropped out, actually, he was 13th. Yeah, no, because Levnowski dropped out there. It'll be interesting actually to watch with him what tyres he's going on. I see him coming out here for practice on the harder yellow compound tyre. Now, whether this was by accident or design now, because obviously with the accident he had to go on whatever tyre he'd set his, at that time, the fastest time first. So if he'd intended to go out like maybe his teammate on the faster red mark tyres, then he's now on the opposite strategy to what he'd probably wanted. Moving our way down, it was Andres Petrovs in 14th with Ben Warren in 15th with Martin O'Connor, Dimitri Dulemeister. They're backed up by Dan Rusu, Martin Bulgan, Nico DeConnick, Andreas Waters, William Tringus. And heading out of the top 20, we've got Wayne Reed, who's making his debut for Centurion Racing in place of Ihab Abbas tonight. And well, another man making his debut for Malta Force is Mino Klont, hope I got his name right there, who's replacing OJ Clark, who's not here tonight. And then we have Morten Verneson, and taking up the tail of the field will be, at the moment, is Dave Nichols. But as you said, James, penalties are to come, and we'll have to see how that'll shake out the grid.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's certainly going to shake out the top 10. Let's count how many. We've got 7 5-place grid penalties to hand out, going to Rainieri, Loknovsky, Schroten, Moodley, Nichols, Waters, and Muscat. So already that's P2 and P3 affected already.
Yes, and if you're wondering what those penalties are for, it was seen that in qualifying for Hungary 2 weeks ago, they had exceeded the track limits. Now, the track limits here are anything beyond the white line, but when curbs are involved, you know, the curbs are part of the race, are defined as part of the racing surface. What happened in this case was these cars had put all 4 wheels outside of the racing surface on their qualifying laps, and as such, because they had no quicker laps to back themselves up on, they received the penalties for it. So, as you said, as I can see, a bit of a tangle there between Hardwick and Nichols as the two of them are going through their final moments of race preparation. It is going to shake up the top 10. We'll hold off until we actually see the grid. It'll make life a bit easier for ourselves and you when we see them out there. But right now, it is dry, and the drivers will be hoping that it stays that way for at least the start of the race.
Absolutely. There's actually 2 10-place grid penalties being given out as well, and that is Dale Stones, who rounded out the top 10. He's going to be starting in P20. And also to Ed Williams. And so I believe actually the new front row is going to be Oscar Hardwick and Brad Wright on debut. So target
no pressure.
race. Yeah, no pressure, but you know, I think Brad Wright. Oh, sorry. Ryan Walker, my apologies, it's right, yeah, Ryan Walker did out-qualify Brad Wright, so it's going to be Ryan Walker on the front row and Oscar Hardwick, and then I believe Brad Wright will be third, so thank you, Mr. Cameraman, for telling us that. So, 6 minutes to go, not sure about rain, I'm sure we got a couple. I believe Scott Bennett said that he was the highest man on the prime tyres to qualify. Going to be interesting to see how strategies play out, because Scott will have been moved up thanks to the penalties higher up the grid, and I think he's in a good position if he manages to keep it clean, and if he manages to keep the tyre degradation good, and given of course that we don't have rain, could we be seeing Bennett challenging for a position which would surely way outweigh his expectations for tonight?
Oh, we'll have to see. Scott's a capable driver on the best of days. Although I do have to laugh when you start talking about him and tyre wear. He is someone who is known for talking quite a bit about how he tends to brutally go through his tyres. So we'll have to see how that plays out for him. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how strategies have played out. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to scope around too much to find out what people are expecting strategy-wise. But I think so many people got thrown off their kilt when they saw the raindrops dropping that I'm sure many of them are probably having a plan A, B, C, and D going into this event now to try and figure out what to expect, especially if there is any percentage of rain in the first few laps.
I think one man that Scott Bennett can take some form of inspiration from was Mike Bell from Formula Challenge yesterday. Absolutely outstanding performance in terms of defensive driving did Mike Bell, and he lasted a long time. I believe it was on his prime tyres during race 2, I think it was, up in the top 10. I mean, he did lose it in the final couple of laps to really have a little bit of a downfall down the grid. But if, just because the tyres are degrading, it doesn't mean that you can't defend. And Mike Bell really proved that last night. And if Scott Bennett can really hook himself up, I'm sure that we'll be certainly seeing maybe a couple of surprises here today. Of course, in 42 laps, there's much that can go wrong as well as right. It's not like you have 2 races to deal with it. It's one big race full of pressure. It's endurance. And, of course, the rain will not help if it returns. So we've got 4 minutes or so left of this session. We'll just take you through the other sort of constructor standings. So I was explaining earlier in the constructors, Malta Force on 64, 60 points behind CSG and Target. I'm not sure whether any team's really going to have much impact on that in the future apart from the top 2. But it must be worth saying that Satellite Racing 1 point behind Malta Force, Innovision 6 points behind them. So the battle for third really, something to look out for in this race, as we do have Ryan Walker on the front row of the grid. Malta Force qualifying well here as well. Innovision will be disappointed though, especially with Loknovsky's penalty, because of course Loknovsky qualifying third does show he has the pace though. So that's definitely going to be an interesting battle, I think. See where that goes. But of course Hardwick, definitely a charger in this series. CSG signed him up for a reason, and although he's currently 5th in the drivers, a good 34 points away from the leader, which is Shepard, he might be able to just capitalise on a front row position here today.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and what's working in Oscar's favour is that he's had 2 starts. Lapala, who isn't here, he'll have equal starts with Lapala, and Lapala will be the person that James has moved on, will be the people who will be the person that people will regard as the favourite, with no disrespect to Ryan Walker. So really, Hardwick is going to be on even races with them, and like you said, he is only 35 points off the lead, which means he's 28 or so behind Ryan Walker. So that's, we've 25 points for a race win, so he'll easily be able to make that up. I mean, as great as a season as Ryan Walker is, he's going to need to have to start winning races if he's going to have a realistic Poker Dish Championship. But when the likes of Lapala don't show up, these are the days that Ryan needs to score heavy points. These are the days that he can get it through consistency. I finished 3rd in the Supercup last season here, and it wasn't because I had stellar pace. I mean, at best I think I averaged mostly out with 4th, 5th and 6th, but it was because I managed to attend all but one race and was completely and ruthlessly consistent that I managed to be high up, compared to, let's say, these fast guys who will show up for half a season and then have other commitments to move on. So it's a real opportunity there for Ryan Walker as well as Oscar to make an impact on the championship here.
Oh, absolutely. It's very much the Alonso factor, isn't it? Because although he may not be the fastest in the field, as long as he's consistent, as long as he keeps showing up, he will keep scoring points. But I think that your point about him having to win races to be in with a chance of contention is really something that Ryan needs to take to heart, because even Fernando Alonso, as great a driver as he was, as bad a car he was driving, he did win races in the Formula 1 2012 season. And although we've got, it's 13 more rounds after Spain to deal with, Ryan's got to think long term. How good is he going to get? Can he improve from this? Well, let's see how he does today. Front row, of course, I believe. I'm trying to remember if this is his first front row appearance this season. Because I think
this season it would be, I believe.
Yeah.
No, I think he may have. I'm just trying to remember back to Australia. One quick thing. I think he was in front row in Melbourne. I think was just whispering in my ear. I'll have a quick check here now and be able to tell you. But no, it has been a fantastic year from someone who had been spending so much time going from one team to another, one series to another. He's really found his own and honed himself. He was in fact 2nd on the grid for Melbourne, so it's the 2nd front row start. It just goes to show how great he has become. I suppose how great a start to the season, even as he's come. But we should be getting going now very shortly. The RDs are going through the reminding everyone of the rules, and hopefully everyone will listen after how we had to go through things with Hungary, when people, I'm sure the exceeding track limits one that's going to be burned into a number of drivers' minds as we head into this race.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Keep it on the grey stuff. If you keep on the green stuff, you won't receive a penalty. And I'm certain that the likes of Rainieri, Schroten, Loknowski hopefully should have learnt their lessons by now. You know, good qualifying results. Really damaged, to be honest, because of going outside the track limits. Hopefully we won't have many more penalties following Spain. It's never it's never good to see, you know, drivers punished, you know, because we don't want to punish the drivers, but if it's the only way they'll learn, then it will be the only way that they learn. So yeah, we are just finishing up with warm-up. Everyone giving their good lucks to everyone. And we'll be soon going out onto the grid to give you, once again, the full rundown of the grid. There is the R-Factor man that we've all come to groan and love. And well, this is, I'm just having a quick look through the top 10. Very, very interesting revisions, actually. I've been looking through the chat box as well. And I know that a certain man, once we get to him, is very, very happy with where he's come. But yes, any predictions for your race winner today, Philip?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Hardwick. It's a safe bet, but I think with him out front, Nola Pala, and the likes of even that we've seen the Rainieri, who seemed rather quick at times, and Grimstead are shuffled down at the tail end of the top 10. It's going to be, he's got the opportunity to get out front and run. Of course, one thing we do have to think about is that it's a very long run down to that first corner. So it'll all be about trying to get through that nice and clean. We're going to have cars approaching at near top speed and then having to come to a complete stop to make it around that first few set of corners. So be interesting to see if we can get through clean enough.
Right then. So, let's go down the grid. We have Oscar Hardwick then leading us up on pole position, followed by Ryan Walker. How well can he do this race? Fabulous effort from Brad Wright up into 3 for Target Racing, deputising for Lapala. And then Mr. Mark Wicks, his highest, well, it's the highest ever position qualifying he can remember. He starts 4th for Street Fighter. Then we have Patrick Gatewood, great qualifying for the Multiforce car. Then Scott Bennett, an equally great effort for him and Innovision. Roy Schroten with his grid penalty starts in 7th. Pavel Loknowski 1 place behind him, also with a grid penalty. Georgia Stavakos starts in 9th for Centurion, with Sindre Grimseth now into the top 10 following the applied penalties. Giuseppe Rainieri is in P11 for Scuderia Basilia, with Andrzej Pestovs for PBD Motorsport in P12. Ben Warren is 13th for PB Racing, with Martin O'Connor, Pestov's teammate, in 14th, giving a little bit of a PPD sandwich there. Dimitri Demulmeister is in 15th for Fox Racing, with Dan Rusu in 16th for Vodball, with Vinod Moodley for FA Racing, followed up by Martin Bulgin for Scuderia Basilia. Nico DeConnick is in 19th for FA Racing, followed by William Tringus in P20 for PB Racing. Dale Stones starts P21 for Street Fighter, long way off Mark Wicks, with Rain Reed for Centurion in P22. We have Menno Klont, debutant for Multiforce in P23, with Morten Bernison for Bottle. And then the final 2 positions on the grid are Andreas Waters in Fox Racing car, and rounding out the back of the grid is David Nichols, Brian Walker's teammate for Satellite Racing.
Just before we get going, a note on tyres. We've got 4 drivers who are starting on the Yellow Mark Prime tyres. That is Scott Bennett, Cinder Greenstead, Nico de Cognac and Andres Waters at the back of the field have also gone with the Yellow Mark tyres. So we'll keep a track on them and see if they can somehow mix things up as the race goes on. As we can see the tail end of the field coming up to line up into their positions.
Absolutely. So everyone's in their grid positions. We wait for the 5 lights now. Always tense moments this. The engines start revving. The lights come on. And here at the circuit of Catalonia, it's lights out and away we go. Quite a slow start from Hardwick, and Ryan Walker straight up into the lead. And there's someone falling back there. I think that's the target car of Brad Wright, but Ryan Walker, great start, capitalised on Hardwick's failure. And we have 4 cars going wide into turn 1. There's Patrick Gatewood, great start from him in the Multiforce car. Up into 3rd with Loknowski into 4th as we start rounding. Turn 3 is still 4 abreast pretty much. From 4th down to 8th, we've got Pavel Loknowski, Roy Schroten, Rainieri, great start by him as well, and Mark Wicks is down to 7th. Roy Schroten holding his line from Rainieri, and Loknowski trying to hold on around the outside of Schroten. He should have the inside corner. Yes, good job by Loknowski. Massive lock-up though, and that's going to leave Roy Schroten and Rainieri right on the back of him. Really close racing, but fabulous start from Ryan Walker. He's streaking off 5 tenths ahead of the field already.
And actually we got through pretty clean on that. We only seem to have one person in trouble at the start of that race, which was William Tringas. Although I see Martin O'Connor has just retired from the race. He seems to have gone flying off up at the end of the first sector. Rather strangely, he just seems to have just veered off and into the wall. But we had a very clean start, so it was a brilliant start from everyone.
Excellent. As I was saying that Ryan Walker is 5/10 ahead of Oscar Hardwick, it doesn't look like that now. Oscar Hardwick really on the charge. He will have been kicking himself for the slow start that he suffered there. But as we round the final corner of lap 1, it is going to be Ryan Walker leading from Oscar Hardwick. Patrick Gatehood has now pulled out away from the battle that consumed him in the early few corners. He's in third for Multiforce. Pavel Loknowski, though, now defending off of Roy Stroton, who's looked in the inside. Pullbacks in, he looks out again. He's got to watch out for Rainieri behind as well. Everything goes into the same
and
way.
Hardwick has taken the leads.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, fair enough.
Walker going into turn 1 there. Ryan didn't put too much of a fight now. I wonder whether Ryan will be trying to think the long game here and knowing that probably Oscar just has the ultimate raw pace on him, that he's not going to be able to tackle him, and is going to rather than waste time battling out, he's going to try and manage his gap to Gatewood.
It's a good idea. Try and get caught up in the slipstream of Hardwick, even if you're not faster than him. Always try and stay with him, and hopefully this will work out for Ryan Walker. Looking back, Patrick Gatewood still able to hold the gap on to Stroton. Really good battle actually for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. It has separated out a bit more than it was in the opening lap of the race. And Roy Stroton seems to be pulling away actually from Rainieri. Great start from Rainieri actually there, getting 6 places in the case of 1 lap, so almost nullifying, and in fact I think making up more places than when he started originally on the grid.
Yeah, well, of course he'd probably be have to think to himself, yeah, how many would I have made if I was actually in my original starting position? And you know, he could be up there trying to chase down Oscar right now. So it's two sides of a coin as they all round the last corner there. They'll all try and line up now behind Patrick Gatewood. We see Roy Stroton kind of coming in behind. We'll see if he can get enough of a slipstream to make some sort of an attack going into the first corner. Don't think it's going to happen, as they're all filtering down. No one seems to be, as we see actually Vindab Moodley there having a look down. Ben Warren and Mimo Clont there battling out for 11th, 12th and 13th there. No one really haven't getting nice and close to someone now to have a proper go at anyone yet.
Scott Bennett has fallen back down to 9th, currently attacking, oh my goodness me, the target racing car of Brad Wright, who's really fallen backwards since his beginning of the race. Terrible start for him. He was the target car who's falling back, and I don't think Scott Bennett should be really focusing on attacking actually. He's one of the few men starting on the prime tyre to try and get his way further on into this race, and if he spends time battling with Brad, then surely he's going to be burning up the tyres more than he would like, and might very well nullify any advantage that he gains from using the prime tyres.
Just going back up to the front, Roy is right up behind Patrick Gatewood right now. Had a little bit of a sniff there heading into down the back straight, and we'll have to see now if he can get close enough now, keep close enough now to this final Mickey Mouse chicane now, to see if he can have some sort of run at him out of last corner. He's nicely tucked up behind you. Oh, and Gatewood gets a bit of a tank slapper going, and Roy is trying to find some place to get by him. Patrick pulls out now. This is all a battle about speed right now. You see Roy pulls right over to the right hand side of the track, right behind him. Feints to his right. Nice bit of a move there. I would have gone left, and let's see if he can outbreak him. As Rainieri!
Dear me! That was always dear me, that was always looking like he was going to cause trouble when Rainieri pulled out to the left-hand side there, and he's down into P7 now. He's been overtaken by Mark Wicks. I'm not sure quite what he was trying to do. Try a Vettel on Hamilton almost style move, but not working out for the Scuderia Basilia driver there.
Yeah, hard to fault Roy in that regard on a first look. He probably wouldn't be expecting Rainieri to be there, and would have only seen him at the very last moment. Ballsy though by Rainieri.
Fair play to him. He's got nothing to lose really, does he?
No, but sure, I suppose you've got your race car to lose after 3 laps of a race. There's no worse feeling than there is of actually crashing out of a race in the first few laps after doing about 1,000 worth of practice ones. So I'm sure he'll be glad just to have his car still in the race, but we'll see how he approaches things going forward.
He's still got, oh my goodness me, I was going to say he's still a bit ahead of Wright. Scott Bennett has overtaken him in the time that we've been watching that little battle. And actually, just looking at it just ahead, he's trying to make a move on Mark Wicks now. Really hassling the back of the Street Fighter driver, but he's an experienced man, is Wixie, and I'm sure he's going to do everything he can to defend from the ballsy Rainieri. He tucks up into the slipstream nicely, and goodness me, look at the acceleration he's got on that car through the slipstream. Pulls out to the inside, and he's almost up alongside him, going into turn 1. Easy position for Rainieri up into 6th place.
Like taking candy from a baby. I'm just actually looking back towards the front. While it's still the same Hardwick from Walker, Ryan is holding the gap. It's been about 7 tenths for the last couple of laps as Nico DeConnick has exited the game. Let's see what happened to him. He just seemed, he lost it coming out of the last corner, got too much grass and hit the wall, lost the front tyre, and that's the end of his day for the FA Racing. But yeah, Ryan is doing a pretty solid job actually keeping tracking with Hardwick, and given how highly rated Oscar Hardwick is, it's just yet another bit of a scare for them as Doolameister goes wide as they head up across the hill there in the middle of Sector 2. It's a fantastic start for Ryan Walker that he's able to hold on to someone of the calibre of Hardwick.
Well, it's all about...
Scott Bennett has lost it coming out of them there at the top of the hill. Just caught a bit of grass on the entry and spun around, dings the nose. Don't think he lost it, but oh dear, Scott.
Absolute disaster. Was looking so good, and oh my goodness me, almost rear-ending Dan Rusu there for Vodbull. Well, that's his strategy blown out the window. He might be able to go a little bit longer, I guess, now, but especially after that spin, his tyres will be wrecked, so that's pretty much any chance of a good position for Bennett out the window now. I'm just having a look to see Patrick Gatewood. The battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th has really started to close up again. I'm not sure whether it's Stroton losing time or whether it's Gatewood getting faster or Lochnovsky going even faster. But definitely Gatewood and Lochnovsky are closer than they have been. Lochnovsky looking out to the right of Gatewood there actually as well. Seems to be that he will be making a move anytime soon.
Yeah, there's a bit of a position switch between the two target cars for 8th and 9th. Just heading into the first couple of corners there that Grimset went around teammate Brad Wright rather easily, it has to be said. So perhaps Brad Wright not feeling he's got the pace right now and letting his teammate to go through and to continue on his way, which is, I suppose is good sound strategy. As Rainier is already caught back up onto the tail end of that train that he was battling to be top of not that long ago.
Oh, this four-way battle's going to flare up again, isn't it? You can certainly tell, and I thought it was going to be Lochnovsky on Gatewood, which was going to be the first battle to kick off. Looks like it's going to be Rainieri on Lochnovsky. Look how fast he is through Sector 2 and Sector 3, almost hassling the back of Lochnovsky, and we saw how good Rainieri's exit speed was into the final corner, right onto the back, and I would think he's going to be looking for a move into turn 1. He goes and tucks up into the slipstream as it is, but not much of an impact on Lochnovsky as he had before. Lochnovsky holds a somewhat middle to left line. Rainieri looks out to the right and he's going to dive through.
Oh,
nothing doing there though. And yeah, Lochnovsky able to hold on just about, but Rainieri definitely the faster of the two cars at the moment.
And this, of course, gives a bit of a breather for Gatewood and Roy to try and do a bit of a runner on things. So that they'll be glad to see Rainieri at least hold his, he's just gone all over the track just trying to find any sort of gap.
Oh,
and Rainieri dives it down the inside,
me.
and look, Pavel gives him just enough room and he makes that work. Very nice by the Italian. That's a bit of an impressive move there. Wasn't really expecting going into turn 5 there, and surprised Pavel, and fair play to Pavel for giving him enough room. Could have very easily closed the door on him and ended both men's races there.
Discretion, the better part of valor, is usually how I go about my races. Definitely not on Rainieri's calendar is that, really just steaming through, and that was a dive bomb, do or die maneuver. Thankfully Pavel aware of it, but now he's got the worry of Mark Wicks on his rear wing, and dearie me, he's really starting to struggle. Is Lochnovsky probably thrown off a bit by the daring maneuver of Rainieri, and we're going to see whether Mark Wicks can tuck up in the slipstream and try and move down into turn 1. He is tucking up nicely. Does he have the straight line speed to be able to do anything? He pulls out dramatically to the right. He's right up alongside him, and well, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Wixie goes through into 6th position.
Yeah, can't say it was much easier than that, and it was interesting to see that going on, as really we'd seen Wicks get taken out by Rainier rather easily on the straight line, and we seen Rainier was actually struggling a little bit to get up to Lochnovsky. That I was thinking maybe that Mark was carrying a bit more wing around this technical circuit, but fear not. But the front, it's still the same. There's about 1 second gap, so Ryan Walker is still not being able to be shaken off by Oscar Hardwick up front. But it's not we're not even seeing O'Roy or Gatewood getting in, so I mean it's really a race between the front two, and with Rainieri kind of pigeon back here and not really able to make that much headway on people, it's going to at least take him another lap or two before he might get into range of Gatewood. So the one person we'll have to keep an eye on is that man in 8th position, 14 seconds off the lead, sorry, is Grimset, the man who's on the yellow marked prime tyres at the moment. That's obviously, he's playing the long game. We'll have to see how that one turns out for him. But we've another retirement on our list. Is Dudemeister has retired since, so we now have 3 retirements from the base at this point. As Bennett's around again there at the same corner there at turn 9. Looks he just seemed to lose it mid corner. Now whether there's a bit of damage obviously to the front wing, but his car just seemed to snap out on him, and things go from bad to worse for Scott.
You were saying that Rainieri would take about another lap to take Patrick Gatewood. Well, he's just taking him now. Into turn 3. Will Gatewood get the cutback? No, I don't think so. Rainieri, his straight line speed is absolutely supreme, and his speed in the 3rd sector in particular caught him up a good 5/10 there. This man is on a charge, and if he continues his current speed, he'll be right onto the back of Schroten in the next couple of laps. Gatewood now falling back into the hands of Mark Wicks, who's really starting to get into the groove.
And he's taken him in unconventional spots. I mean, we're expecting most overtakes to happen going into turn 1 there. But we can see he maybe unintentionally ended up setting up Gatewood there into turn 1 that allowed him to get the cutback through. A bit of the old Swedish switch, if we want to go back to touring car parlance from the Rydell days, going by him. But I mean, we've seen he took Lognossi into turn 5. He tried to take Roy and Gatewood into turn 1 around the outside, and he's after taking Gatewood there through turn 3. So that's something that you'll have to keep an eye out going forward. Is that to expect Rainieri to do the unexpected.
So Oscar Hardwick, I mean, I'm trying to remember now because our facts are different. It's lap 8, 9, or 10 we're on. We're on a lap. Oscar Hardwick leads by 1.5 seconds now to Ryan Walker, starting to fall back slightly more every lap now. Roy Schroten still holding on in 3rd, actually starting to pull out a bit more on Rainieri, who seems to have calmed down a bit. Then we've got the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th is Patrick Gatewood from Mark Wicks from Pavel Loknovsky, all within the space of 1.2 seconds, and we've just had Andreas Waters now.
Yeah, we're just going to go to P12 there with Verneson, Moodley and Ben Warren are kind of trying to go 3 wide into corners where you can probably only take 1 car. At the moment it's Verneson who holds the position, and coming behind him is Andreas Pestovs.
Dearie me.
Moodley taking a big bite and finding out his mouth is a bit too full, as Ben Warren's going to have a look into a very unconventional place to overtake and thinks better of it, particularly with that very high exit curb. It's kind of settled down there a little bit, but they were all going tooth and nail fighting out for the last couple of points.
Good stuff here though from the back as we have, what's that, Pestovs looking out to the left of Moodley. He knows he's a little bit shaken from his little move earlier there in the lap, and he'll be looking to try and get onto the back of Moodley, hopefully in the next sector, so going very wide for the cutback into this
as and Verneson there is taking Davigos going into the final chicane, and Davigos has a sniff back. Ben Warren is there thinking, alright, if I just let these lads hold on there, and Davigos dives into the pits.
Right, so I believe that's our first pit stop of the race is Georgios Davigos, and he will fall back into the order. I can't see any of the cars in the pit lane, so yeah, I believe he is the first. Ryan Walker now 2.1 seconds behind Oscar. So early pitting window for Davigos. It's going to be interesting to see who else pits in this early stages of the race.
Yeah, we're just going to have a quick look at lap times there.
Oh, look at Mark Wicks and Patrick Gatewood. Sorry to cut you off in 5th and 6th position. Wicks has made it past Gatewood now, but Gatewood's going to look into the inside. Oh my goodness me, you don't want to overtake there, as we said earlier. And yeah, this battle for 5th, 6th and 7th really starting to heat up now. Gatewood looks pretty slower than his fellow racers here, and Pavel Loknovsky really starting to hassle the back of Gatewood now here as well.
I think that's a bit of a trend we've noticed with Gatewood as the races come on. He seems to be very good over a 1 lap pace, and even at the start of the race he seems to get himself into a good position, but he does seem to tail off now, whether that's a a case with setups. It's hard to know because he's onto his third different teammate in that team right now. So as we see, Rainier pits. So obviously,
so's Roy Schroten.
So we have our first set of pit. We now know where our first pit window is anyway.
Right, so Roy Schroten had a bit of a tardy pit entrance, actually flouting the wall, and he should get out ahead of Rainieri. Yes, he does. Rainieri close behind.
Rainieri in the primes.
Oh, okay. So very interesting to see Rainieri going for a longer little stint here as Roy Schroten rejoins in 11th and Rainieri behind him. He's going to be in P12.
Now we'll have to see how long it's going to take some of these to respond. We did see some early pit stops. As Gatewood
Mark
is out.
Wicks! And Mark Wicks! What happened there?
Gatewood just seemed to... I don't know what happened to Wicks, but Gatewood just seemed to pile drive into him, and a massive accident there. I don't know whether it was a matter of Mark Wicks having an issue, maybe, mid-corner, because Gatewood just seemed to come about twice the speed as him.
Deary me. I'm not sure. That's bizarre. Yeah, I mean, it has the hallmarks of just
brain fade.
Yeah,
brake fade.
Which one's the brake pedal? Well, either way, both of them are out, and that means that Pavel Loknovsky has now inherited third position. Hosdwick and Walker are going round again. Loknovsky pits as we say that. Just going to have a little look round at Grimseth. Grimseth goes round again on his prime strategy, so he's going to move up into third position.
Yeah, and this is where he's obviously been helped by this.
Loknovsky's overshot his pit box as well.
And he's going on the primes. So, let's see, he's another one looking to go along, and we're getting to see some strange names now up in the top 10. We see Morten Wernerson, who's running long right now. He's actually up as far as 5th, and Brad Wright is continuing on as well as in 4th. So it'll be interesting to see how long these guys keep going. We actually saw last time out at Hungary that Oscar was one of the last people to make a stop when he started out on the prime tyres, as was Ryan Walker. So we'll see how long more into their window these guys are going to push it before they make a pit stop.
My World GT co-commentator Mike Pittman's going to be jumping for joy. His two boys, Wernerson and Bruce, now in the top 10. Of course, we still got pit stops to sort everyone out, but good job here from Wernerson, and if he can keep things going, he could be looking on for a lovely haul of points for Vodball. So your current leaders as it is, Hardwick pits. He's in P1 at the moment. Ryan Walker's going round again. And so Ryan Walker will lead this race. I'm going to keep an eye on Grimseth just to see whether he pits in either.
I wouldn't expect it. I expect him to try and at least make those... If he's started with the yellows, he's got to make them last.
Oh, and Brad Wright's lost it. Sorry to cut you off. Brad Wright has lost it into the right-hander going up into the chicane. He's lost a wheel. And is that race over? He's trying to get it going again. And nope, it's gone. So Brad Wright, great starting position, but the deputy... Well, he's been dumped out of the race ceremoniously, leaving one target left to fight it out.
As Hardwick comes back and he's in 3rd position. He comes out just behind Trinkus, gets out of his way, and he's got Martin Bulgan just ahead of him as well. I'm sure he's going to jump out of his way as he does. So.
Oh, Rainieri around the outside of Schroten. Sorry to cut you off again. There's action everywhere. Rainieri has just taken Roy Schroten for 4th and 5th.
Oh, Rainieri, he's trying to be Kobayashi. There we go. Finally finding the name. He's just finding the most strangest places to actually find an overtake around Barcelona. I know Barcelona's not the worst place for overtaking, but he's trying places I don't think many others would.
God, I really must apologise for cutting over, Phil, but Rainieri...
Oh, you're fine. Look, when it's action, it's action.
Rainieri providing one of the most dramatic drives I've seen in GPVWC this year. He's up into 4th, and well, as you say, he just finds the weirdest spots to overtake. I don't know whether his luck has run out or whether his luck is going, but, well, it's working for him. Up into P4.
Yeah, just back on what I was going to say about Hardwick there is that he's come out on the yellow prime tyres as Ryan Walker is in the pits now. He also is going to the primes. So we're seeing a lot of them trying to go on switching onto the yellow tyres as Sindri Grimseth is now your race leader.
Here comes Oscar Hardwick as well. Where does Ryan Walker come out in comparison? I reckon that's going to be over 2 seconds by the time they round turn 1. Well, I presume so. So yeah, it's as you were, apart from Sindri Grimseth up the top. We've got Rainieri in fourth, Roy Schroden fifth, and actually Roy Schroden's right around the outside of Rainieri, looking for every way to get around him. Roy Schroden really trying to get back on Rainieri after his unbelievable overtake around the outside of turn one.
Well, something you have to remember is that Rainieri is on the yellow prime tyres, Roy is on the red option tyres, so really Roy should have a pace advantage over him right now. So it's another reason why probably Roy's being able to hold on with Giuseppe at this moment, and also another reason why he needs to get ahead. He can't afford to be stuck here behind Rainieri ruining his strategy, even with Gatewood and Wicks out.
Looking down on the lower half of the top 10, Menno Klont in a world of his own really for Multiforce in 6th position. But then we have the two in division, Pavel Loknowski in 7th, and Scott Bennett has made himself up into 8th position, lagged out a B.
Yeah. Lagged out. So I'm going white hot, just commentators curses they say, but
oh
seems to be having a bit of lag issue there.
His ping's having trouble, but he's up into 8th nevertheless. Then we've got Ben Moore on P9. Morten Bernhardsson still in the top 10, making it work for Vodbull. As Oscar Hardwick has retaken the lead of the race, Sindri Grimseth has pitted.
Yes, interesting, he's only gone about two or so laps longer, but obviously he has that stint out of the way now, so we'll see now if he can get a bit of clear air. He's staying on the primes. So that'll be interesting now in terms of his strategic car body. He's going to stick on with the yellow mark tyre, which should last longer, but is not known to have the greater pace as the red mark tyres. So it'll be interesting to see now what the strategy is with Target Racing.
Well, presumably they're going to have to stop again, of course, for the soft tyre. So we'll presume that. Well, I presume that he would want to last the rest of the race. He's done 15 laps here on the prime. Presumably he can go another 15 laps to take him up to lap 30, and it's all about whether those soft tyres, or maybe even past lap 30, since it's a fresh set of medium tyres. But of course we'll have to see whether the soft tyres can last as long as he wants. Nevertheless, in 6th position, doing much better than probably what he expected coming down from outside the top 10.
I have a bit of an update actually on the Wicks Gatewood smash. Wicks is telling me that Patrick was apparently adjusting his pit menu and forgot the corner, thus wiping us out. They're the words. No. They're the words from Mark Wicks right now. So that does explain it was a bit of a break Fred for poor Patrick that wipes out both cars. An unfortunate incident from two guys who were looking to have a good race, but they'll have to wait until next time. As Giuseppe's a bit dodgy there coming out of the last corner, sorry, lack of a better word there, and Roy is nearly alongside him as they're battling down the home straight. Let's see who's going to be the last of the late breakers.
They've got traffic there as well. They've got traffic there as well in the form of Bolden, Rainieri's teammate. Yes. Well, goodness. Oh, no!
Side by side, no. Rainieri holds on. Well done.
Fair play to him. Oh, great drive from Rainieri. He may not be the most conventional of drivers, but providing fantastic entertainment for everyone here watching the broadcast. Roy Schroden, I'm not sure what he must be thinking. He's going to have to try something pretty exceptional to get past him, though.
Indeed, I mean that's the thing is he knows he's on a different strategy now to everybody else around him right now. Everyone else has gone on the yellow mark tyres. He's the one on the red, so he's the one who needs to make this work because he will have to stop for the. As he kind of takes a little bit too much curb there going through turn 9 and nearly loses the car in a bit of the way Bennett's been going at it, but holds on to it. Don't think he's going to have much of another look around this time. He's really helped there by Rainier. It was just a bit sluggish coming out of the last corner there. Dodgy was the term I think I could just grab it out of my brain at the time. And just it made Rainieri sluggish out and allowed Roy to get alongside him. I don't think he's going to have this opportunity this time. So he's going to have to sit back here, have a little bit of thinking and try to figure out some way of attacking Rainieri. As Rainieri goes straight on the defensive. He's taking no chances there.
Oh, Giuseppe, thank you so much. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, dear me. So, your top 10. As, yep, Rainieri does defend indeed from Schroden. So, top 10 as it is. Hardwick leading 6.1 seconds now from Ryan Walker. Giuseppe Rainieri leading just about from Roy Schroden. Menno Klont for Multiforce. Really quiet race for him so far, but doing a good job there in P5 with Sindri Grimseth, P6. Pavel Loknowski, I think, actually starting to catch him in the Innovision car in P7. Ben Moran now up into P8 for PB. Morten Bernhardsson actually is catching him in the Vodbull car in P9. We'll have to see whether that one kicks off anytime soon. And Georgia Stavakos is rounding out the top 10, but he has the company of Andrzej Pestovs right behind him, and I believe that's Dale Stones there in the background as well. So this is going to get off, and actually Pestovs there is looking straight to the inside of Georgios. Has to pull in, and late realisation that he's not going to make the corner, but he's going to try again round on the inside, and
Pestovs is on the red mark tyres here versus Davicos on the yellow, so Pestovs obviously enjoying that bit more grip and is allowing him to attack the Greek driver.
And look at Dale Stones there in the background, because these two are battling. He's going to be right on the back. Remember, he started P21. So a decent drive here from Wix's teammates, and we'll just have to see whether PBD can capitalise on more points. Of course, we've seen a good few retirements here this race. We've still got, two-thirds of the race still to go. Lots to happen.
Just looking back up the front, Roy not getting close, but just he's running out straight there before he can catch up on Ranieri. It's actually interesting, just think about 5th position there. We said he was in a lonely race for his own Mino Clont. He was someone who qualified near the back of the field, and he somehow, I know there's been a number of retirements, but he's just somehow appeared here in 5th position, and he actually has stopped. He started on the red, so he had to start. By looks of it, he stopped around lap 12, but he just seems to have snuck past half the field somehow.
I'm pretty sure that he was in Formula Challenge last night as well. That he's yet another person like Brad Wright who's been thrown into the deep end. Either way, Multiforce is going to be taking note. Really, really good drive. Clont as opposed to his teammate Gatewood. And a good haul of points here for Clont at the moment. He could be, looking for a pretty good finish on what I believe to be his debut. As I said, I've only stepped into the commentary box at late notice, but we'll have to see how this race pans out for Clont. Obviously he's got Sindre Grimseth to worry about behind on his prime strategy, different to everyone else, and I imagine it might be close for 5th and 6th between those two later on.
Yes, back up at the front there, Hardwick is comfortably leading now by 7 seconds. He really seems to be stretching himself now, and Ryan is unable to live with that pace, but Ryan at least is matching what Ranieri is pulling at him now. So at least, well, on that occasion, Ranieri actually closed in a little bit now on Ryan. So now that Ranieri has probably managed to shrug off Schreuten enough that he's going to be able to focus solely on trying to catch down that satellite car. But they've managed to space them out just a little bit now at this rate. Really, the closest battle we have right now is actually the one going for 6th and 7th right now between Grinsept and Lognoski for 6th and 7th position. Both men on the yellow mark tyres, and Lognoski obviously suffering after missing his pit lane entry, and be interesting to see, like I said, how Grimset's going to focus on this now. I would have expected him to be a bit farther up the game now with the fact that he'd started on the yellow prime tyres, so we'll have to see if he can somehow turn around what's been a not so great day for Target racing so far.
No, only Target left in the race at the moment, and of course, whereas Grimseth has to pit again, Loknovsky does not. He started on the red option tyres. Of course, I believe if I got that right, I've got no idea as I've got a spectator. But yeah, Loknovsky doesn't have to pit again necessarily, and so he can go for as long as he wants on these prime tyres until I'm sure it's going to be impossible to go to the end of the race given the tyre deg rate of about 15 laps on these prime tyres. But he'll certainly have an advantage over Grimseth in the final stint if he switches on to those option tyres. So he seems to have lost a bit of time actually to Grimseth on this lap.
Yeah, at least with having Grimseth and seeing him do the 15 laps, we have a rough indication of what we should expect. Now, we've seen Hardwick pit, what was it there, about lap 13, so we can expect him in nearly around lap 30ish. We would assume that we're going to see the next set of pit stops. We're about 10 laps away from that now. So we'd assume that we're going to see in the next 8 to 10 laps when the next pit window should open, theoretically. Though, feel free to correct us on that now if you have a little more knowledge on the tyres than the two of us combined here. But it's actually turned out to be a bit strange one, as Luknowski just looking around, trying to probe for a gap there around Grimseth, not really finding some. I'm sure he's got to be trying to think and looking ahead at some of the laps. You can see Bulgin up the road there and try to think, how can I use him to help me? So sometimes got to do with some of the lap cars, especially when you just can't catch us. Grimseth runs a bit wide there at the top of the hill, and it's going to actually give Luknowski a run. Grimseth has gone defensive. Luknowski goes on the outside. Grimseth goes deep. This has got to be Luknowski
cut back.
taking candy from a baby. It's actually funny enough, it's actually a similar thing to what Grimseth did 2 weeks ago, that he'd gotten ahead of Ryan Walker, done the hard stuff in the first couple of corners, and then heading up the hill towards where Massa had his accident, he actually had a massive tank slapper coming out of going through the kink, and that allowed Ryan to get back by him. It's kind of a similar situation, but Grimseth's going to have another poke at him here, bulging the lap car. He goes over to the right, and everyone just files in behind him as everyone looks to get as much slipstream as they can off him. Grimseth waiting until the last moment, but I don't think he's going to have enough to have a proper look. He has a bit of a feint, but nothing serious. Goes deep, but at the end of the day, that's going to cost him more, as Luknowski pulls away up the hill after having his ideal line up through the corners. So that's him up and away, and we'll have to see now if Pavel can actually pull away from him now.
Called it absolutely right, you did, and it's all about, I mean, traffic can cause trouble at the worst of times, but at the best of times, the smart drivers will be able to use it to their advantage. And Luknowski, masterclass there, used the slipstream of Bolgin to his advantage to pull away from Grimseth. I was certain that Grimseth would have been able to take Luknowski there into turn one, but nothing doing, because Luknowski had the slipstream as well, and so Grimseth, his strategy not really working for him, it must be said, really starting to suffer now. And of course he's got to pit again. I'm sure he'll have a speed boost with the red option tyres, of course, but P7, I tend to agree with you. We should be... Oh,
we've Roy Schreiten in the pits.
Certainly is.
That's very early.
That's
very. Sorry, he was obviously on the red mark tyres that time round, so that's about 12 laps, I think, working off my calculations here, that I'm the old pen and paper, you can't beat it, in front of me. So he paid around lap 10, so that's 12 laps for him, and he's going on that. That's 20 laps to be expected out of him. Be interesting to see now whether he's going to go to the end on that.
Well, presumably you would. It's
have to really 20 laps. You know, come back out for a 5-lap stint. It would be a strange decision, but we'll have to see. Maybe someone from CSG can let us know what Roy's plan is down the line.
Option prime is the way that Roy Schroten seems to be going, and well, I wonder whether he's not going to push on this stint, try and conserve the tyres, because from what I've seen of this race so far, might not have chosen the best decision, Roy, but let's reserve our judgment for later. He might have a little masterstroke planned later in the race. He's back now in P9 though, behind Morten Wernersen and Ben Warren, who have separated a bit now since we last came to them. Of course, I imagine that Roy Schoten will eventually get past them due to the pure speed difference. I'm just having a little look to see the other drivers, if anyone's planning on going early. Don't think so.
Not so far.
Actually,
well,
where...
Ranieri.
Oh no, Ranieri was... Bit of a mind blank. Ranieri was battling Schroten, wasn't he? So Schroten pitting means that Ranieri is definitely third with no one worrying around him. But it must be said that he has closed down on Ryan Walker, although I think it's by a second or so over the last few laps, so not exactly a charging pace for Ranieri at this time.
Yeah, no, everyone seems to be blanked out again. We're still, Luknowski and Grimseth are still the closest two we really have on track, well, apart from, see, we're going to see probably action from Roy Schroten in the next lap or so if we don't get too many people pitting, as he starting to close up on Wernersen and Ben Warren, who are duking it out there for 7th position. Two guys who are actually having very good races again, who are down the far, and Wernersen might have a bit of a look at Ben Warren here. Good run out of it, and going into turn 4, he's going to have a good old look. Oh, slides, bit of a touch. Not so clean, but gets the job done. Bit of handbags, but sure, at least both cars are still in the race, and Roy will be looking at this as Ben has a smoky attempt up the inside to see if he can have another lunge, but no, and Roy will be here thinking, right, okay, you guys battle out, let me come up and get around you easy enough. Every little helps.
Indeed it does. It was a good move from Burns, and a little bit of a Kamui kiss if we're going to stay with the Kobayashi theme for Spain. It seems that Vernon's starting to pull away from Morin, it must be said, but yeah, as you say, good race for Vodbull. Both cars actually in the points at the time of speaking. We do have, I believe we passed the halfway point of the race now, so less than halfway to go. Still a way to go, yes, but there we go.
We have Ranieri in the pits.
Oh, we
Ranieri's
do.
coming out of the pits even now, sorry. And he's staying on the prime tyres. Now, that's not a particularly long straight. He's going to come out right behind Grimseth now. Ranieri pitted around lap 10 as well, and he's staying on. So he's only after getting 14. Well, it's about on track what we expected. We saw Grimstead get about 15, so he's going to look to get what is about 18 laps. So, you know, some of these guys, it may be tight if they're only getting 12, 14 laps out of their tyres. You know, that's the final. It could either, we're going to see maybe some people make final decisions to come in for a fresh pair of boots, and some people maybe try to hold on. It's
I think Schroten's really lost out actually from that pit stop. Now 11 seconds behind Ranieri.
Yeah, and he was nowhere near that far off. He was a couple of seconds at best, but and it didn't look like a particularly slow stop. We haven't seen Roy go around, so yeah, that's a very strange one now.
I think my one indicator of what possibly went wrong is the fact that he was right behind the battle between Vernson and Warren
out.
Oh dear.
Which is a shame. I can't see he's out long enough. Maybe lag. I don't see his car in the garage, so that's a shame for Ben.
Real shame indeed. But yeah, going back to Schroten, he was a short way behind the battle between Vernson and Warren indeed, and if anything, he's fallen back from Vernson. And as I say, that Vernson now in the pit, so Roy Schroten will pass him, but yeah, maybe the prime tyre not the best option for this stint as it seems. Maybe the wrong strategy. We'll have to wait and see. As I said, maybe Schroten's reserving something in the tank. Maybe he's conserving the tyres, as I suggested earlier, to be able to survive the 20 or so laps that he's been asked to do here.
Quite possibly, or maybe it's a case of having the well, no, I was going to say with the fresh pair of boots, he should have actually made an impression. So yes, perhaps he is trying to at least mind those tyres enough, but it's a lot to mind them for an additional 5 laps we expect over what we've seen most people seem to be doing with them. It's going to be a lot to ask of him, as Oscar Harwick is coming up behind Tringus and Dan Rusu to come up to lap Tringus again for the 3rd time it'll be, as Tringus not exactly making himself out of the way, but gives Hardwick the line well in advance to the corner, so that was hit up for it in the end. And Dan Rusu, actually gotta say, it's an impressive drive from Rusu. I know Rusu is someone who's been seen as some part of a what's the right word here to use? A roadblock at times, in terms of, he has not always been the quickest guy, but he's currently 14th position out of, we've got 18 people driving, and he's ahead of 4 guys, and at the moment he's sitting on 2 points. So I mean, if he can hold this, it'd be a very good race for the Romanian.
Fair play to Vernonson as well. He pitted in P8, he's come out in P9, still in the top 10 for Vodball. Really, really good effort here from Vernonson. We've seen him at times be a little bit inconsistent, but really, really impressive drive from both Vodballs here. Really showing their stuff in what has been an incident-packed race, at least really giving us a great show today, as Dale Soanes pits, I believe. Yes, he does, along with Moodley, so possible changes down the bottom there. Just going to see where Oscar Hardwick is. Oscar Hardwick still going around.
And we have Ranieri coming up behind Grimsets, so we could have overtaken. I'll have to have a look at the track map and see where he hasn't overtaken anybody yet, and see where he might think. He's probably looking at the map on his steering wheel thinking, right, haven't overtaken here, haven't overtaken here. I might try here this time.
Well, whichever one he does it at, I believe that he might be able to get it done. He seems to make it work. There's Ranieri, and looking for possibly a podium position here. Loknovsky only 3 seconds up the road from him. Ranieri
Loknovsky pits there now, actually, as we speak.
There we go. So that's Loknovsky out the way. What can Ranieri do against Grimseth? Grimseth seems to have a decent strategy, going prime option, but not as good as we would have thought. You know, it would have produced at this stage in the race. And you must wonder how Ranieri, charging on him like this now, will interfere with that strategy. He'll more than likely burn up the tyres more than he would have wanted.
There's an interesting. Loknovsky staying on the primes. He comes out of pits, he's behind Roy, but he's also interesting behind Mimo Klont. And I didn't see Mimo stop again. Apparently he stopped back on lap 24. He's out in the prime, so Mimo has managed to actually jump, by the looks of it, after jumping Loknovsky in that round of pit stops as well. Somehow, somehow we're missing this man who's out here in the middle of Timbuktu land driving around, and he's just gradually building his way up, very like a stealthy assassin right here.
You know, I was going to give him the exact same motif, Philip. The silent assassin, or the sneaky silent assassin, whatever you want to call him, he's up in 5th position, pulling an absolute stonker of a drive in P5, right behind the scenes of everything that's going on. So, great job there, and we've got a bit of a battle between Scott Bennett and Morten Bernsen. Scott Bennett now back up into P9, and dearie me, that's ping central there.
That I'd be getting worried about, personally. That's the kind of thing I would be personally kind of saying.
2,000 or so his ping is at the moment, coming back down now. But
that's a bit scary, but for the driver and the guy following it, you're expecting. We've seen some incidents last year, and I know there was a video that Petr Kasa made up with about when he got taken out in practice by a lagging car. It's a bit scary when you actually see someone, and it's, I suppose, even hard for Bennett, because I'm sure he's probably seen the car ahead of him as we've catched off as retired. Dear. I see his car in the pit with -2 back wheels. He kind of crashed where Bennett crashed, turn 9. And whatever way he hit the wall, his rear end imploded and he lost the 2 wheels. So that's another one down. And that's going to open up the points for more people, as we're down to, what are we now, down to 17. I remember 15 people score points. Oh, Dan Russo, I just see there spinning, recovering, but there we were praising him for a good race, and he goes and makes a bit of an arse of himself. But, you know, right now, it seems to be a bit like Hungary, a bit of a survival of the fittest, and we had Sepang, we had the torrential rain there, and we actually had very high percentages of finishers, and then we got to Hungary, which obviously is known as Monaco without barriers, and that lived up to his name. But here in Barcelona, again, another high attrition rate. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 9 cars actually out of the race at this rate. We still have
down to 12 to go. We're down to 17. We are really high rate of attrition, as you say. While you were having a chat there, Scott Bennett has got past Morten Bernsen, now pulling away, and also Rainieri was right on the back as Sindre Grimseth went horribly wide. I believe that Andreas, it was either Waters or De Koning, went off wide early in the race, and actually that hasn't seemed to have stopped Rainieri at all. He's right on the inside of Grimseth, and he takes the position into turn 4. Rainieri, absolute charge. He's up into the podium position once again.
Well, we'll have to ask the broadcast lads, see if we can get a Rainieri pass counter dinger that we can set off every time he seems to make an overtake. I've lost count actually. It must be 5, 6, 7 or 8 moves at this rate that we've seen Rainieri pull, or at least attempt to pull it. It's fantastic though to see that someone's out there and willing to give it a go in those strange places, and willing to make it work. I mean, we've only really seen one move that hasn't come off, and to be fair, he was the one who came off the worst out of it, and that hasn't deterred him. So it's a fantastic spirit. He's into third as Oscar Hardwick is in the pit lane. Out of the pit lane, he is staying on the prime tyres, so there's no kind of going to the red tyres now. I wonder, we're now about 12 laps from the end if my calculations are right, but I was never good at math, so I might be wrong on that one.
I think we're 11 or 12, yeah.
So you're in a window where the reds should work. I wonder whether Ryan Walker, who continues on, will fancy a chance. Now, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, but it might allow him to attack, and at least on the offside, it would at least protect him from Rainieri if he was to bolt on the red options. But we'll have to see. I expect he was, 1 lap later than him last time. So Grimseth is pitted as well. Grimseth, and he obviously has to go on the red, softer compound tyres. So that obviously moved Mimo Klont into 4th, Roy Schreiten into 5th, and Lubnowski's in 6th. So Grimseth is looking at 7th right now, which is kind of where he was. He started 10th. So not the kind of impact, as we've spoken, that we probably expected out of him. But let's see what Ryan Walker does.
I'm remembering horrible echoes of Hungary, Philip, where Oscar Hardwick forgot to change onto the option, or I can't remember whether he forgot or physically couldn't change.
He forgot.
Onto the option. Okay, he forgot.
He forgot. Yeah.
Right, as you say, we've seen the option tyres last for 12 laps. And oh dear, I'm interested to see how Hardwick will do. Presumably, Ryan Walker will keep on going, go on to the option tyres. I'm sure that Hardwick will be able to pass him again, but it's all about what Ryan Walker can do in those final laps on the option tyre. Could he have a chance to catch up to them? I'm not quite sure whether he does have the outright pace even on the options. to be able to catch Hardwick at this rate.
Yeah, I can't see Oscar making the same mistake twice in a row. I bet a certain team manager would have belted the idea of tyre changes into him. So I don't think that's the thing. I think it's probably a strategic call that he's safe, and I'd say he probably feels even safe even if Ryan was to bolt on the reds. I think Ryan putting on the softer tyres is more a case of probably ensuring of second place for himself, to ensure that he doesn't get caught by Ranieri at any point. Now it'll be interesting to see how far he's gone. An extra lap over, so I mean he's now going on to about his 14th or 15th lap on these tyres, but he can't stay out here too long. Everyone else is on fresher tyres and is going to be eaten into him. We saw how much he lost when even the lap that he'd spent out, that he lost a number of seconds behind Ranieri, so he doesn't, or behind Hardwick even, so we'll see rounds the last few corners. He's going to be coming in this time, so let us see which tyres is he going to go on. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him in Bulgan, but far enough down the road that he shouldn't have to worry about him. Trundles down the pit lane. Such a slow speed, especially when you're on such a straight that, you know, you just hear the cars flying by. Yep, he has gone on to the red mark tyres.
You would have had to wait here.
There goes Hardwick. Hardwick is in the lead. Ranieri is only coming around the last corner now. He's slightly held up by, I think, Tringus coming into pit. So a flash of yellow there, but he clears the pit lane and away he goes. And he should be, yeah, he'll be nice. Ranieri's going to be close enough now. Ranieri will see him.
From what I've seen of Ranieri, if I was Ryan Walker, I would be very, 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 very scared, because Ranieri has been on a charge for pretty much the entire race. And well, we'll just have to see how that all trundles out into the equations. Well, I think it's about 9 seconds. It must be shorter than 9 seconds now. No, indeed, 3 seconds he is behind Ryan Walker. Well, Ryan Walker's got the fresher tyres. Let's see how that all pans out. While we're looking at Walker's pit stop, Scott Bennett, who is battling with Verneson, also pitted. And remember when he had that spin? Well, he is now up into the top 10.
Yeah, 2 spins even, if you think about it. And
yeah,
well, he's probably got a bit of damage because he definitely tagged the wall the first time round with his front wing. So there is damage to his car. So it's it'll be a case of, yeah, it's an impressive comeback, but it's also a case of what might have been. He could have at least, he was up ahead of Greenstep around the time of that spin, so he could have at least been looking to be riding shotgun for teammate Lognosky there, about 7th position. But sure, ifs and buts were candy and nuts, you know. It's the way it is. So we'll have to see now. Keep an eye actually on the gap now. See if Walker, he's had his outlap now, so we'll have to see now if he can make any sort. He's closed the gap slightly on Hardwick. Now we're talking 10 laps. He's got to start taking a second out of Hardwick a lap now. Really, it's a very, very tall order.
On Wayne Reed retires.
Wayne Reed, so that's another one gone. We're down to 16. So we're nearly at a point, and Wayne Reed, I look at him in the pits, he's lost 2 front wings. It looks like, oh, I think at the end of what? I have a trap map up here with names on it at least now. About turn 6 and turn 7, I can see body parts and 2 missing front wheels on the Centurion racing car. So it looks like a pretty hefty work he took. So we're down, yeah, nearly a point. If you finish the race, you're going to score points for the 2nd time in a row.
One man will be not scoring a point at present. I don't know what's worse, retiring or being the only man not to score a point. That man is currently William Tringus, 3 laps down, and I fear that the top 15, they can all assume that they'll be safe. So, looking back up at the top 10, Oscar Hardwick is just rounding the final corner now, going on to what I believe we lap 35 of 42 here at the Circuit de Catalunya. Currently leading. Ryan Walker comes down the final corner as well. Looking at the updated gap, he was 9.9 behind by the end of that, but he's 9.5 behind now.
Not enough. No,
I mean, really not enough. He needs, as you say, he needs to be taking out a second per lap pretty much. So it looks like he is going to be settling for second, Ryan, unless Ranieri can make much of an impression. But he's been maintaining the 3-second gap for the past couple of laps now, not making much of an impression on Walker, though he's got nothing to sort of moan about really, because given that he had his penalty, you know, he has had a fantastic race, and to be on the podium, I would say well deserved from the driving he's performed here today.
Indeed, and actually the closest battle we have right now is for 5th. Roy is getting under attack from Pavel. Pavel Lognosky has closed up on the Dutch driver, and Clement Roy, someone who's, I suppose, his tail off as the race has gone on. This strategy hasn't worked from so far, and as we were wondering, is that he could be near the end of his tyre life, really, because he's pitted so early on those tyres. He's still, you know, this is now approaching the 15 lap mark that he's on his tyres, and Pavel, obviously on much fresher tyres, is going to do. It should be easy for him, in theory, like anything, but Pavel's been catching up on him, and he's probably going to try and wait, I suppose, until the home straight, but you can already see he seems to have a ton more grip going through the corners. And
we'll keep an eye on this battle for Noknovsky and Stroton, but an update on Grimseth and his battle. He's currently under attack from Georgios Stavakos, who had actually a go into turn 1. He's falling a little bit behind now, but a little scare for Grimseth as he falls back into the clutches of, well, almost floating out of the top 10. His strategy really doesn't seem to have worked here today.
Indeed, and Pavel looks like he's going to have a good proper look. Great slipstream down the home straight. He's going to slingshot. Oh, he comes across a bit late. But Pavel makes it work. Pardon mouth moment there, and Roy getting it well stuck in there. It's a bit of and Roy hanging it around the inside. It's a bit of aggression we're not used to from Roy Schreuten. So fantastic defensive, and he pulls right across. Roy, who's pissed you off today, buddy? I think that's the main thing. I mean, I've raced Roy plenty. I haven't seen him defend this, you know. I'm not going to say he's defending. He's defending on the line, and he's... Whoa, there we go. I mean, he's not doing anything that the class is illegal, but it's also pretty hard stuff from the Dutchman. So he definitely wants that 5th position, and I think he's probably fighting a losing battle, but, you know, he's going down swinging.
You know, I think I've got to take part of the apology on this point, because, of course, he got 2nd in World GT at Austria. I mean, ever since he got that 2nd in every race I've seen him, I think it's every race. I think he's only competed in one more race, and that was WSS. Actually, no, he would have competed in Hungary Supercup, wouldn't he? But he has had almost a renewed sense of confidence that he could do so much more. And we've been looking at Roy and saying, you can do this, you do have the potential. And well, and
Rainier's are coming out of the pits. Rainier's had to stop again, and he's put the reds on, and that puts the Clont into turns.
Oh, dearie me.
Now, he's just up the road, so Rainieri should probably catch him hand over fist, but we were saying about some drivers probably not being able to make it. Pitting early, I mean, that was a very short stint for what? He'd pitted around lap 24. It was 12 laps since, so yeah. And I think it was the same last time, actually, if I remember correctly, at Hungary, that Rainieri made a late final stop, and it looks like team owner David Juntle will have to have a sit down with Rainieri and discuss some tactics, at least, and strategy, and that, you know, making one stop more than everyone else is not a good thing.
Well,
he could probably.
To his credit, he's got 4th.
True, and he should catch. He's only 2 seconds behind Clont, and I think he's had a lot more pace than Clont. But and I hope he's getting his name right now. We weren't expecting to be talking about the poor chap. I don't even know his nationality. I'm like here, right? We're calling the stealthy insert nationality here, but I can't think of it right now. But we'll have to look out for next time. But up front, it's, as you were, Hardwick and Walker. The gap is stabilised around 10 seconds. Hardwick's just doing enough to stay ahead, and it's kind of, we've got the battle for 3rd, and the battle for 5th is what we'll be watching from here to the line. We've not that far long left in this race.
Oh, well, Rainieri's already pulled back a second on Clont. He's really on the charge once again. He wants that podium spot back. And while we've seen his battling early in the race, he looks like, well, he's going to try and do anything to get it. Roy Schroten seems to have stabilised the gap to Loknovsky. He's been there or thereabouts, but Loknovsky's hanging on. We'll have to see whether he can't make any late charges in what should be the final 4 laps or something of this race. You must be nearly there now. Looking back to 7th place, Morten Vernonson. Great drive from him today. 7th, I mean, I'm sure Mike will be absolutely ecstatic about this. Really great drive from Vernonson. Andre Grimseth, he's in 8th. He's managed to clear Scott Bennett, but he'll be disappointed, I think. Not exactly the race he was hoping for. You know, his teammate not here. He was only 8 points behind going into this race, but he would have wanted so much. He wanted to go into the territories of Walker, really, to try and catch up to the lead. And with one target car out already, well, they're going to be leaving. They're going to be leaving.
Ranieri start to go across, but Ranieri's going to be line up Clont going onto this home straight. I think he's going to take advantage of that superior speed to make one of the more easier overtakes of his day. He lines up behind the Malta Force driver, and he's going to leave it late going into it. We're going to see if Clont makes any sort of defensive move.
Oh, here we go.
It's going to be a late lunge.
Oh!
Clont. Fair chips to him. I mean, I thought that he would have taken him a lot easier there. I'm surprised actually how late that one was down. As Grimset's out. Grimset, I see with one wheel on his car.
Oh no!
Oh dear! He crashed at Bennett's. So I'm going to call that corner turn 9, and he absolutely mangulated his car. Good night, sweetheart. As we've the battle for Lugnosky and Streiten at the same time as well. Sorry about that. We've been caught by everything these last couple of laps. And Lugnosky's finally gotten around Roy Streiten.
He took his time, didn't he? But he got there, and well, it was a bad day for Target already. It turned into a miserable evening. And well, there we go. Sindre Grimstead out of this race. Oscar Hardwick, lap 40 of 42. Currently leading by 10 seconds to Ryan Walker has not fallen away, actually. Fair play to him. Keeping up in P2 there with Ranieri now starting to pull away from Clont. Although Clont not, he's staying there or thereabouts. Great race from him, to be fair. This is the only time we've really seen him in this final stint of the Raceways battle with the most exciting man this race. We then got, as we say, Pavel Luknovsky now up into P5, really starting to clear Stroton, who looks to be absolutely dying on those tyres. I said he'd made the wrong choice, and well, this is really showing the extremes of the tyres as we have another retirement in the form of Martin
We've actually got 14 cars
Bulgin.
now, and I think that's actually helping Grimstead, funny enough, that with Bulgin going out, Bulgin is classified 16th. By the time Grimstead falls to the bottom now, depending on if Tringus can actually overtake his stricken car, obviously he's a couple of laps behind him, but Grimstead will either be 14th or 15th, and because he's completed enough of the race, he will be classified for points. So Grimstead will come out of this race with points. He's going to benefit from such a high attrition rate. Clont's not really letting go of Ranieri. Ranieri hasn't kind of pulled away as we might have expected, while Luknovsky has pulled away from Triton. It's still close enough that Ranieri makes enough of a cock-up that Clont could be right back in there.
Indeed, we are on lap 41 of 42. Oscar Hardwick really putting on the power now. He's 11.4 seconds clear of Ryan Walker. The battle will be interested to see. Well, it's not really a battle at the moment, but can Ranieri hold on until the end? He's got fresh tyres, so theoretically he should do it. But as you say, if Ranieri messes up somewhere,
he does make a slight error going on the home straight there. Just caught a little bit too much grass, and take it from me, a little bit too much grass in these cars is enough to send you around and into the wall. So he's just got to be careful that, just to keep the mindset going that, we're into the final stages in this race, and one little mistake and that could be it.
Absolutely, the top 10 or the bottom of the top 10 aren't far away either. Vinod Moodley battling with Dale Stones. I think they're Oscar Hardwick is just rounding, so we're going to have one more lap following this then, and we've just, not many close battles going on at the moment, but not to say something will develop. Oscar Hardwick entering this final sector now, going through his little chicane. I haven't mentioned this all race, but I really hate that chicane. I always want to take it faster than it should be, but anyway, Oscar Hardwick rounds the final corner. Going to be starting the final lap of this race, and well, it's been an absolutely brilliant performance from Hardwick. Bogged down off the line, but ever since lap 2 or 3, he's looked in complete control of this race.
As I suppose is what is expected of him. He was hired to replace James Shepherd, the man who was effectively walking away with the Supercup championship, and to drive for a team like CSG, they missed out on both the team and the driver's title last year. And obviously Alex Cooper has moved up to bigger and better things up in the Super League, and there was the man who was going to be sitting in that CSG car, even both CSG cars. There's such an expectation of them to win not just the drivers' championship but the team's championship. So when obviously James moved up, they had to hire someone that they knew was going to come in and do the job, and that's where they found with Oscar. And Oscar is duly delivering. He missed out obviously last time due to a faux pas of his own, but he said it himself here when we were talking, it's just a case of going out and winning the next one, and it's not going to be a case of missing out on that one. He's a bit of a scare there with, as he gets around Georgios Davicos, but if this is what we're going to be expecting of Oscar Hardwick, we are looking at one of the prime championship contenders for the Supercup in 2013 here.
25 points you get for a race win. It will take CSG clear of Target. It will take Hardwick clear of Lapala and Grimseth. And as he rounds the final corner, it's Oscar Hardwick who takes the win here at the Circuit de Catalunya. Fabulous drive from the Englishman. Really, really dominant. And he's showing just why CSG hired him. Ryan Walker comes home a valiant second. He's going to be holding on to, well, he's going to take, the championship lead from James Shepherd, of course, who has left the series. Giuseppe Ranieri, well, what a drive. He's provided entertainment for us all day long. And he takes, I believe, is this his first podium of 2013?
It would be. It's only the second Supercup start, second GPVWC start. So yeah, first podium for Mr. Ranieri.
Hopefully we'll see a lot more. Here. Indeed, hopefully we'll see a lot more of that in the future. Menno Klont, the silent assassin, he comes home in fourth. Brilliant race for him. Multiforce will have taken note of that. Pavel Loknovsky had a grid penalty to contend with. P5, he will be happy with that.
And Roy with a smoking engine.
Oh my goodness, that's a puncture, I think, actually.
Yeah, well, it actually would explain. We were wondering whether he'd make 20 laps on those tyres. He's gone lucky he doesn't have to make 21.
Bit of a delamination problem there for Roy, but he does cross the line in 6th ahead of Morten Wernersen. Fabulous effort there from the Vodball driver to come home in 7th. Scott Bennett, similarly good effort. He had a couple of adventures along the way, but takes home P8. Georgios Davicos for Centurion is P9. And Vinod Moodley for FA Racing rounding out the top 10. And I think we've said this many times before, Philip, but, well, there are some names in there that we would have not imagined in a million years would have been there. Yet there they are.
No, obviously the high attrition helps, but these are the days when, you're not a driver, I suppose, that has the amazing speeds of your Hardwicks and your Ranieris up there at the top, that you look for the days when people are going to be crashing. I think a lot of people were expecting the days that were wet to be the days where the unsung heroes, but when you look down there and you look at the likes of Rusu in 12th and Moodley and Davicos in 9th and 10th, and it's a fantastic day for them. That not only do they get points, but they get a good haul of points. It's not just a case of just picking up the scraps in the 15th. They're after adding a good amount to their tally. So well done to those guys. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who've had brilliant races.
And also, this was a battle which we were absolutely intrigued by to the end. Would William Tringus overtake the stricken car of Simjay Grimseth? The answer is yes, he has. He's taken 14th ahead of Sindre. So Sindre does still get a point out of it. He's up to 59. But he's not going to be happy with that. It has a terrible, terrible afternoon for Target, who get 1 point out of the entire affair. CSG are going to be well clear once all the results have been counted up.
Yeah, so hopefully shortly we'll have a few people up for interviews now. We'll have to see who we have with us now this evening. We're going to have the race winner, Oscar Hardwick, will be joining us. We also have the second place man, Ryan Walker. We also have Scott Bennett as well. So we have 3 guys. So, Oscar, last time it was second place, this time first place. Congratulations on your first Supercup victory.
Yeah, it was a very nice, third time lucky as it were. Third at A1, second at Hungary, and now I've managed to get the win here. Which is a surprise because I was really thought that I was struggling for pace compared to a few others earlier on today. So the polling qualifying was an absolute shock to me. I think I just got strategy right in the last lap at the right time, and in the race, bad start but got past Ryan with no problems and then just pulled away. This time using the prime tyre twice was actually on purpose, and that worked out fairly well for me. So yeah, all in all, a fantastic race, and I'm absolutely chuffed to bits to have gotten a win.
Yeah, we were actually wondering about whether it was a decision to use the primes for the final stint, but we were kind of thinking, no, I think team meetings would have made sure you didn't do that. But no, obviously, it's a fantastic race from you, and obviously with Lapala not being here, Grimseth finishing 15th and retired, but he'll still get a point. Obviously, you're definitely getting yourself into championship contention. I know we spoke about this last time, and you're going to be taking it race by race, but I think with how tonight's turned out, you're definitely well in with a good chance of it now.
I'm certainly, there or thereabouts, and I'm shocked that I am. Obviously, having Lapala not be about for a couple of rounds has really helped me with that. It's still going to be a big challenge to catch Walker, because he drove a great race again today, finished second, and nice haul of points.
Right. Brian Walker, you are now leading the Drivers' Championship, good sir. How do you feel, and just explain how that race went for you personally?
Yeah, the race went real well for me. It was better than I expected, and after Hungary, where I was struggling really bad, I was hoping for a good result, and to finish with second place was great. Had a good start. I was trying to get away from Oscar, but I just made a couple of mistakes, and that let Oscar get back onto the back of me on the home straight, and he just got past me, and that was it. And well done to Oscar on the victory.
And finally, I'm sorry, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, Ryan. I was just going to say, can I have you ship that Iron Brew over whatever you're drinking this season, mate? I think I saw you. I made a comment of a funny bit on Facebook there. I think you stole my talent from the Halcyon post race at Singapore. Because you've had such a fantastic season. Just again, mate, congratulations. I mean, whenever we think kind of this fairy tale seems to be coming to an end, you just go on and do it again. And to be leading the championship, good and proper, well done on that, mate. And it was another solid race from you, and hopefully at some point you'll have the opportunity to be the first man across the line this year. It'll be well deserved.
I'm so close, but just not having any luck on that front, but it'll come.
Right, and I think we are going to finish off with Mr. Scott Bennett. Well, Mr. Adventure, you've had a couple of spins, yet you finished P8, I think it was, in the end. A fabulous drive from you. I mean, obviously, do you think it could have been a bit better had you not spun? I mean, you would have lost time, obviously, and the tyre strategy seemed to be all right. So surely you could take some positives though from today, because P8 is not exactly the easiest position to get.
Overall, I think I'm happy with the result. I mean, I should have been fighting in the top 5, I feel, but it's a race of what ifs. I mean, I had a bit of a dodgy issue at the start with the connection issue, and when I finally settled down without the lag, suddenly I've got damage on various parts of my car. So it was just an uphill struggle from there when I dropped it on a curb and then caught up in some of the slower cars, not expecting them to brake where they were, and binned it off again. So it was a long uphill struggle from there, but red mist came down and I just went lap after lap as if it was qualifying. And I'm shattered.
Go and have a drink, mate.
Yeah, I think the one thing I suppose, Scott, is that despite the fact you went off the same corner twice, and I think we eventually started calling the corner Bennett, just because actually you weren't the only one who ended up binning it there. And to be fair, you were the one who actually got off the lightest. We actually saw a number of cars, including Grimset, go off there rather heavily and lose 2-3 wheels and really wreck their cars. So the fact you actually spun there twice and still got to the finish line is actually quite an achievement, mate.
I think that was quite a surprising one. I thought I was going to take a lot more damage than I did from the second spin, where I was avoiding one of the volleyball cars. He was running such a vastly lower downforce setting. I came to that corner and just sort of bricked myself as I went in sideways.
Right. Next up is Monaco, and I'm a bit sad to leave, actually. I mean, hopefully we'll have Nick Rowland back in his usual position for that race, but, well, I'll be watching Ranieri from the sidelines with extreme interest as well. Monaco's not exactly the best place to overtake, but I'm sure he'll find somewhere to do it. Ryan Walker...
If anyone's going to, he will.
Exactly. Ryan Walker... Oh, sorry, we're not going to leave, actually. We do have an extra interview, sorry. Roy Schroten. Well, we were looking at you and we were debating your tyre strategy. At the end of it all, do you think that you picked the best choice for the race, or do you think possibly it was the wrong choice for the day?
Well, I don't know. At the beginning of the race, I was thinking about 3 stints on options and the last few laps on primes. But then I saw what the others did, so I thought I would give the primes a shot. But yeah, it didn't pay out really well.
No,
Yeah, well, you actually had a great race towards the end with Pavel. Some very robust bit defending, mate. You really didn't want to give that position up to Pavel, even with your tires going bad.
Yeah, I really hope for a top 5. I think I hit Pavel a few times, maybe. I'm sorry for that if I did. But yeah, I really wanted a top 5, but I guess 6 isn't too bad. It's good for the team, as Target didn't score really much points, so yeah.
right. Thank you there, Roy. And I think we will finish up now. So I leave the series for now. Thank you very much, Philip, and indeed to our cameraman, Dave Smith, for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure doing this alongside you tonight.
Indeed, it was great to work with you there, James. I know it's short notice to jump in and take the reins, and especially with a series like this that is a fair whack to remember. So no, you did a great job. It was fantastic to work with you, and hopefully down the line we'll have this opportunity again.
Absolutely, thank you for your compliments there. So, hopefully business resumed as normal next week. It's time to race around the streets of Monaco. We'll see you then.